harder, trying to get the upper hand. So much to do in so little time. It's a crazy life. It's ready, set, go. It's another wild day when the stress is on the rise. In my heart I feel you say, just breathe, just breathe. Come and rest at my feet and be, just be. Chaos calls, but all you really need is to just breathe. Third cup of Joe just to get me through the day. Wanna make the most of time, but I feel it slip away. I wonder if there's something more to this crazy life. I'm busy, 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 and it's no surprise to see that I only have time for me, me, me. There's gotta be something more to this crazy life. I'm hanging on tight to another wild day when it starts to fall apart. In my heart I hear you say, just breathe, just breathe. Come and rest at my feet and be, just be. Chaos calls, but all you really need is to take it in, fill your lungs, the peace of God that overcomes. Just breathe. Let your weary spirit rest. Lay down what's good and find what's best. Just breathe. Just breathe. Just breathe. Come and rest at my feet and be, just be. Chaos calls, but all you really need is to just breathe. Just breathe.
Turn your ear to heaven and hear the noise inside. The sound of angels and the sound of angels' songs, and all this for a king. We could join and sing all to Christ the King. How constant, how divine, this song of ours will rise. Oh, how constant, how divine, this love of ours will rise, will rise. Oh, praise Him. Oh, praise Him. He is holy. He is holy. Yeah. Turn your gaze to heaven and raise a joy stand on your feet. Come on, we serve a God who's so worthy of our praise. Let's sing it out this morning. Come on, sing, he's coming on the clouds. He's coming on the clouds. Kings and kingdoms will bow down. And every chain will break. His broken hearts declare his praise. For who can stop the Lord Almighty? Come on. Our God is the Lion of Judah. He's roaring with power and fighting our battles. And every knee will bow before him. Our God is the Lamb that was slain for the sins of the world. His blood breaks the chains, and every knee will bow before the Lion and the Lamb. Every knee will bow before him. Yeah. Come on, so open up the gates. So open up the gates, make way before the King of Kings. The God who comes to save is here to set the captives free. For who can stop the Lord Almighty? Yeah. Our God is the Lion of Judah. He's roaring with power and fighting our battles. And every knee will bow before him. Our God is the Lamb that was slain for the sins of the world. His blood breaks the chains, and every knee will bow before the Lion and the Lamb. Oh, every knee will bow before him. Oh, every knee will bow before him. For who can stop the Lord Almighty? Who can stop the Lord Almighty? Come on. Who can stop the Lord Almighty? No one. Who can stop the Lord? Yeah. Who can stop the Lord Almighty? We sing. For who can stop the Lord Almighty? For who can stop the Lord Almighty? Yeah. Who can stop the Lord? Come on. Our God is the Lion of Judah. He's roaring with power and fighting our battles. And every knee will bow before him. Our God is the Lamb that was slain for the sins of the world. His blood breaks the chains, and every knee will bow before the Lion and the Lamb. Oh, every knee will bow before him. Yeah. Amen. He's worthy. Come on. Amen. Well, that's our prayer. And I shared with the last service, if you don't know, for the staff and us that stand on this stage, man, every week, week in and week out, our desire is to glorify and honor the Lord. It's not to, I said this last time too, it's not to play the right note, although sometimes that's great, and it sounds good. But it's all about the King of Kings and the Lord of Lords. It's all about honoring and glorifying him with the words that we sing, the songs that we sing, the notes that we play. And I hope you
hear and see our hearts in that. And I hope that you share in that heart. When you walk in this room on a Sunday morning and the first song kicks off, it's not just the first song. It's an opportunity really to come before the Lord and really humble ourselves. Maybe move the week out of the way, move your work out of the way. Sometimes it can be, and Todd's gonna share more on this, but your spouse. Sometimes you just need to focus on Jesus, and that's our prayer, that you could get that through worship. But if you don't know me, my name's Sam. I'm one of the worship leaders here at West Cobb. Yeah, thank you. Super excited that you guys are here, and super excited just to press into the presence of Jesus. If you're new with us or just want to get to know more about what's going on here, you can text the word connect to the number that pops up on the screen over there. Same thing if you're joining us online. I'm super excited you guys are here. But if you text that number, you're just going to get a text back with a link. Going to take you to a website, and you can fill out information if you're a guest, or just kind of scroll through and see what we have going on. Speaking of what we have going on, what do we have going on? Yes, no, that was last week. Storehouse. So this is the last day. If you brought bags, you can drop them off for the food drive we've been doing with Storehouse. And also this Saturday is the last day where we can go volunteer and actually help them pack bags and really whatever they need, we can help them out. And then this Friday, I believe, we have a women's event that I will not be attending, unfortunately. But it's going to be a great time. Misty said it last week, and she said it best. We don't have a real reason for this event other than to gather and just get to know each other, spend time together. And also this morning we had the opportunity, most of you guys know, but this is my friend Jay Kabasa. Yeah, give him some love. He is the man, and he's just got a heart for the Lord. So we're going to continue to worship, and I just want to encourage you guys to engage. Just jump in with us.
I've searched the world, but it couldn't fill me. Man's empty praise and treasures of faith are never enough. Oh, you came along and put me back together, and every desire is now satisfied here in your love. Oh, there's nothing better than you. There's nothing better than you, Lord. There's nothing, nothing is better than you. Yes, I know it's true. Yeah, I'm not afraid to show you my weakness, my failures and flaws. Lord, you seen them all, and you still call me friend. Yeah, 'cause the God of the mountain
You guys can be seated.
The following is paid programming brought to you by Marriages Against Technology.
Before, our relationship was just a tangled mess of push notifications, interruptive chimes, farm animal games, and secret GPS tracking.
I was checking Nancy's Facebook page just to see where she was at.
Physically and emotionally.
And I was fortifying my manhood by playing violent video games in which I was a sniper trying to save all of America. Waffle Daddy 16 is down. Get him a med kit. Bravo. They're on your 6. They're on your 6. Frag out. Frag out.
I just wanted him to take out the trash.
Don't look at me. I had a hard time communicating how I felt.
He'd try these little emoticons, but the messages got mixed.
I have fat thumbs. And one slip to the right, and you are sending a totally different message.
It got to the place where I was finding attention elsewhere. Oh, come on. Come on! Come on! We were talking about separating.
And by separating, we mean buying an additional tablet so we could each have one.
The point is that we were chewing up our data with nothing to show for it.
And that's when we discovered unplugging.
It's a form of communication that requires no electricity or Wi-Fi.
It was awkward. We were just sitting on the sofa, the two of us, no devices. The eye contact alone was... Can I even say this on TV?
We were talking without the football score dinging on his phone.
For her, it used to be words with friends, but now it's words with me.
Unplugging has revolutionized the way we relate to each other.
When the electricity goes out, I don't even flinch. And when I say flinch, I mean lose my everlasting mind. I know there are skeptics, but all I say is give it a shot. It's worth your time. You will see results. And fast.
The most common side effects from unplugging include jitters, twitches, and withdrawals. If you experience other mental disturbances, take a walk in the sunlight. If you have a conversation that lasts more than 4 hours, don't see a doctor. This is normal. Just keep talking. Unplugging may not solve all your relational issues. Your overspending habits are an entirely different topic, and we don't have time for it.
Unplugging. See if it's right for you.
It was right for us.
Good morning, church fam. Okay, that was funny because it's true. Man, that's good stuff. Hey, welcome back. We're in the middle of a series called Reconnecting. What better time than after this last year we've all experienced? where we are in the generation that is most digitally connected. We can talk to anybody at any place at any time and legitimately engage with them face to face. Yet as a culture, as people, we have become disconnected and we have become lonely, and we are trying to figure out again, what is our new pace? What is the next season? What is going to happen with us? And the answer changes if you decide to get back to how humans were created, and that is connecting. So we're talking about reconnecting. Last week, if you were not here, we talked about the importance of gathering, and we talked about the importance of connecting at the table. Next week, we're actually going to go back to that and talk about how that was actually God's design for the church. Church in its origination was nothing like this. We didn't come to hear a lecture. We didn't gather in rows to stare at somebody talking. It was around a table. So we're going to dig into that, and I'm super excited, so I can't wait to take that adventure with you. But until then, I want to throw something out before we get going today. If you missed an opportunity this morning to talk to God and ask that he would share something with you today, then you missed the biggest opportunity of your potential day. The reason we come and we gather on Sundays is to corporately worship, but also to connect with one another in community, but more importantly, to connect with God. So this is your time. We have 29 minutes. You're going to hear something from him today. I don't know what that's going to be. Well, I know what it's going to be. I prepared the sermon, but I don't know what God is going to share with you personally. But ask for it. Take a second and connect with him. Now's your shot. So I'm going to ask that you put everything else aside in your headspace between your ears and find a time and a way to connect with just him. You'll get back to your day in a minute. Everybody good? All right, let's reconnect. Today, we're talking about the importance of connecting and reconnecting with your marriage. Now, I know this is immediately a red flag because, well, not everybody's married. Okay, here's my first question of the morning. How many of you know a married couple? Like personally, if you know somebody who is... That's most everyone, so you know. Okay, so there are two things here. You will either be impacted and get a better grasp on the importance for your own marriage or for somebody else. One of my favorite quotes for marriage ministry is this: every marriage is a duet in need of great backup singers. And that's so true. We get marital issues come up when we are living in isolation from other people. So it's very important as we talk about this Reconnect series that you think about who you can cheerlead. Who is it that could use a little bit of encouragement, and how can you share what you're about to take today? I always ask this: don't keep whatever you learn in this building to yourself. Go out and share it, and that's your way to share your faith, but also as you teach people new things, you continue to grow as well. Question number 2 for the morning: what engages your attention in competition to your spouse? What is it in your life, habits, that engage your attention in competition to your spouse's attention? Now, it's not just bad things. This can be anything. These are things that we get in ruts for. Good things, bad things, sports seasons. We have widows during particular sports seasons. It could be crafts, hobbies, social media, gaming, buddies, your friends, working out. I'm going to bring up something personal here, something that's impacted our marriage. I don't even like to say this word in public, and I hate this being broadcasted. Some things that may grab your attention over your spouse. Pinterest. What is it that gathers your attention in front of your spouses? Because here's our bottom line for the day. Reconnecting with your spouse requires disconnecting from everything else that gives your attention competition. That's your tweet for the day. Reconnecting with your spouse requires disconnecting from everything else that gives your attention competition. And why does that matter? Here it is. Reconnecting with your spouse. We prioritize time to reconnect with our spouse. It gives value to your relationship. That when you say, I'm going to put other things behind time and connecting with my spouse, that makes your marriage a priority. And listen very carefully, especially if you have other people living at your home. That doesn't just communicate value to your spouse, which is critical. It communicates to other people that your marriage is important. It communicates to your children what is more valuable at your home. It communicates to God that you're putting your spouse that we claimed one day when we were standing up before a preacher in a huge congregation that God gave them to you as your gift. We communicate to other couples, other believers, other non-believers, how important it is that you prioritize your marriage as something that God's given you. So the impact for staying connected and reconnecting with your spouse is a walking testimony for us through our relationship. And that's a pretty big deal. I have a mentor, and I have a couple of mentors in marriage ministry. Pre-COVID, I used to fly around the United States on Fridays and come back Saturday mornings and do marriage conferences and have lots of fun. One of the guys who's impacted my life deeply, and we talked about him a little bit last week, his name is Ted Cunningham. And we had the opportunity to be at the same speaking engagement in Florida a couple years ago. And he shared something that was so profound yet so simple. It not only changed my life, but it's changed the lives of the friends that I've shared that with. And this is a generational learning thing for healthy marriages, because Ted actually learned it from his mentor from a generation before. And I would really love to share these three very important things for your own household with you this morning. And again, you're going to look at them when I put them up on the screen, and I'm hesitating because this is so ridiculously simple. Some of y'all are going to, I see some note-taking, which is tons of fun. Maybe you're drawing pictures, characters of me, and I just misrepresented you. But here's the thing. I'm going to put these three things up on the screen, and we're going to talk about it, and you're going to go, we don't really need to write this down. These seem like no-brainers. But the trick is, are we engaging and are we actually applying these? And so here's what was said to me. And that was said to Ted before that. Without these, I'm not sure your marriage will survive. Puts a little emphasis on it. And this was all prefaced before I learned these things. Here we go. 3 big ideas on reconnecting and staying connected with your spouse. Every marriage needs 3 things: a daily delay, a weekly withdrawal, and an annual abandon. And this is where you're going, that's it? Yeah. And Scripture doesn't have a whole lot to say about marriages. And it always confounds me when I hear pastors or preachers or people saying, you need to have a biblical marriage. Have y'all read about some of the marriages that have happened in the Bible? You don't want one. There's a lot of things went south in the Old Testament with marriages. There's a lot of just weird stuff, and we have very little things, but they're all incredibly encouraging. So since we have so few directions on how to live a great story that God has for your marriage, it's very important to lean into the few things that we do have. And these 3 things are on that list. So you need a daily delay, and it's about 15 to 20 minutes. This is important. This is an everyday thing. It's 365 days of your year. This was the easiest one to implement. And please note that these are in order for a reason. They're stacking stones. The second 2 won't make any difference unless you lean into the daily delay. All this is 15 to 20 minutes of connecting with nothing between you and your spouse. No screens, no newspapers, no remote controls, no extra sound, no kids, no animals, no nothing. Just 15 to 20 minutes of me to you. 15 to 20 minutes of just connecting. How is your day? And this is important because people change throughout their day. You're the same person you're going to be this time next year, except for the books you read, the places you go, and the people you encounter. These things are happening throughout the day with your spouse. So the connect time is super important. And if we miss the connect on a daily basis, then long term it has some incredible impacts. And you're thinking 15 minutes, that's not going to do a whole lot. That's incorrect, because the most recent stats say that the average couple in the United States of America is spending about 7 minutes or so in meaningful conversation together. It means things that are important. A week. A week. Because we're in this fast generation, we've always got things to do, right? And part of being hyper-connected has to do with that. We always have access to other things to do, things to answer, things to get back to. 15 minutes a day. If you add that up through a year, comes up to a little over 91 hours for your year of solid, face-to-face, nothing-in-the-way connection. That's why it makes a difference. If you have that long, then you're going to be connected, and you're not going to be able, you will not get missing pieces in your relationship because you'll stay in a connection factor. And here's what I mean by the connection factor. It's kind of like your phone. When you guys go to sleep tonight, you're gonna put your phones on the charger, right? You're gonna plug your phone in, and tomorrow morning, before you head off to work, or wherever you're going, your phone battery is going to be at 100%. What happens through the day? It gradually drains. Relationships are the same way, not just spousal relationships. It's when you're together and you connect, it actually charges that up and you can get strong and you get to know each other. And that's how the connection takes place. And the longer you're away from each other, the more it drains. So we're just plugging back in. So the next thing we talked about is the weekly gathering, and this is when you actually get on a date night. The weekly withdrawal is not at home any longer. It's going away. We're going to get out and do something, and it doesn't have to be extravagant. This doesn't necessarily have to be a 4-hour thing, although that is totally cool. It can be heading out to Starbucks and grabbing some coffee together. Anytime you get out of the house, that's what I'm talking about when we get back to the weekly withdrawal. See, if you have the daily delays, this is the math part of it, so pay attention. If you have the daily delays, where you're constantly connecting with each other, then the weekly withdrawals, the date nights, are tons of fun. If you don't have the daily delays, if you're not connected, then when you go on date night, it's not near as much fun. In fact, I've seen a lot of couples really screw up date night by talking about things like the budget. And you're playing catch up at that point. You get together, you want to talk about where things are at work, where the kids have to be the next week, budget stuff. I hate to keep using the B word right here on the stage in God's church. And we talk about things that we have to talk about to keep managing our homes, right? Nothing will suck the life out of a date more than talking about a budget and trying to catch up. See, this is a fun game we play at our house when we're out and we see couples at restaurants. It's like, who's connected and who's not? Most of them fall under the not category, and you just see people just or catching up, and that's not fun. So if you can dedicate the 15 to 20 minutes of daily delay connect time with each other, then when you get to spend some time away, you can just be and not have to catch up on the have-to stuff. It turns it into get-to time, and that's pretty great. And when you date your spouse, it shows that your marriage is highly valuable, and it's an investment return that you will feel. I promise you this. The strongest marriages are also the most connected marriages. And the most connected marriages are the healthiest marriages. Now, all three of these that I'm talking about today, they weren't my idea. They weren't my friend Ted's idea. They weren't Gary's idea who came before Ted. These actually came from some ancient scriptures that have been handed down for generations of how to have an amazing marriage. It's a gift that God gave us. It's from Song of Songs. The first one, the daily delay, is actually found in the first chapter of Song of Songs. And Solomon and the Shulamite woman are going to talk about creating a safe home. That's what's happening here. We're about to dive into Hebrew poetry for the morning. So those of you who got out of English class thinking, I never want to have anything to do with poetry again, welcome back. And you should dive into it a little bit this week. As a guy who gets to go around and talk about marriages regularly, Song of Songs is awesome. It's a gold mine, and I'm very pleased to have it. And this morning, this is where we're getting all of our information. The daily delay starts out immediately. That shows the importance of what this does, the connection factor for your relationships. This is talking about creating a safe home, and by safe, I don't just mean physically, I mean emotionally, I mean spiritually. Home should be a place where we don't have to be somebody else. Home should be a place where we don't have to have our defenses up. Home should not be a place where we come with our boxing gloves on ready to go. It actually needs to be the flip side. It talks about creating a safe place. The word they use is actually lush. Now, what images come to your mind when I say the word lush? It's very green, it's very fruitful, it's very safe, it's very pleasant, it's very disarming. And that's how the description goes for what it's supposed to be like at our own homes. Here's what it says, Song of Songs 1:14. My beloved is to me a cluster of henna blossoms from the vineyards of En-Gedi. I don't know one single woman in here who would not want to be described as a cluster of henna. Which makes no sense until you dive into the cultural aspects of what it was actually talking about here, okay? Bear with me. Henna blossoms are not only absolutely incredibly beautiful, but the fragrance is off the charts. Now, it says something after that I want you to take note of. It gives a place. It's from the vineyards of En-Gedi. And you're thinking, who cares? Well, that actually meant something to the people when it was written. En-Gedi is an actual place that existed and still exists today. It's a literal oasis in the middle of deserted area. Now, back in the Old Testament, this was part of the land when the land was divided amongst the tribes of Israel. This one was given to Judah. There is lots written about it, not only in our scriptures from our Bible, but historically in other contexts. They talk about a place called En-Gedi, and it is phenomenal. It's actually on the west bank of the Dead Sea. Are you seeing the juxtaposition here? Dead Sea, nothing can grow in it, deserted area, and then in the middle, the comparison of what our home should be like and what it should be like when you gather back with your spouse at the end of the day is an oasis. There's a dig site just a little bit away from here that they've pulled out and figured out it was a perfume, basically, factory. They have all the tools that they used to make perfumes with. The palm trees at this place are bigger and taller than anywhere else in the region. Everything blooms bigger there. The scents are amazing coming from here. So my beloved is to me a cluster of henna blossoms, specifically from the vineyards of En-Gedi. Everyone hearing that for the first time when this was written went, oh, wow, this dude really likes this woman. She's beautiful to look at, she smells fantastic, and when he's with her, it's at a lush place that is completely different from the day-to-day grind. It's different from the deserted areas. This is a place that's magnificent. She's like a vacation. Now, the second aspect we see in verse 17 is this. It says, the beams of our house are cedars. The rafters are firs. This is a big deal. This is what I meant when I said that this is a place of safety. Cedar beams and firs on the rafters, this is strength. This is a place that won't easily tumble. This is a place that can be safe from the storms. They've built this home to last. It's that safe place. Let's take a minute and take an evaluation. How safe do you feel like your home is? Now, I don't mean that from a physical standpoint. I've got a couple roof leaks right now I'm trying to deal with. You personally, when you go home, is that your safe place? See, we come in danger when there are other places that we feel more comfortable than our own home. And if that's the case, we need to reevaluate. And sometimes we need to rebuild. Sometimes we need to put some new rafters in. Housekeeping needs to take place. So the problem if you don't have a daily delay is you're going to let things build up. That's why this is so important. And this brings into this game personalities, because some of you are really great at talking when there's a problem. Some of you are too great at talking when there's a problem. Some of us like to talk before there's a problem, just in case there's a problem. Then there's the rest of us who are stuffers, right? You have your talkers and your stuffers, and usually those two, for some reason, are married and living at the same house and can't understand the other person. But when you don't have this daily delay and you're not connecting, you will keep holding things and keep it up, and you keep throwing them in your backpack, right? And eventually, you don't even realize the adjustment and how much weight you're carrying because it's just one thing at a time. We're not talking about it. It's easier not to talk about it and cause conflict, right? And then eventually, it blows up on you. And your spouse, the smallest thing, the smallest splinter could happen, and your backpack just falls off. They ask about how you parked your car, and you're like, well, you know what? You remember last October, and you start pulling out conversations that were had. And then in August, you start pulling out conversations that weren't had but should have been had. And by the way, when we first got married and you just start unloading all this stuff, I'm guilty of being an expert packer. You'd be surprised how much I could carry relationally. But when you have that daily connect time, that dissolves that, and it takes away the ability to pack frustrations that just weigh us down. So here's how it goes. And if I realize that no one here has ever had issues or stressors with your marriage, but I imagine you know somebody who has. So let's talk about them for a minute. Whenever those other people have stressors for their marriage, here's where and why it always happens. And really, this is how all marriage counseling goes. On one side, you have your expectations, right? How you expected things to be when you first got married. How you expect things to go now. Your expectations of life. The kind of job you have. The car you drive. The people you hang out with. How people respond to you. Your kids. Your spouse. How things are supposed to go in your marriage. The fact that when you walk into a room, it should be in slow motion with theme music, and how the wind blows your hair just so. Expectations. And the problem with this, please be leery, is that people are always telling you what your expectations should be, and they tell you about what you deserve. If you're a TV watcher, I want you to start paying attention to the commercials. Do you realize how many commercials tell you that you deserve something? You deserve a new car. I mean, yours is 18 months old. You deserve a Reese's peanut butter cup. You deserve a particular shampoo. Even McDonald's knows how valuable your time is because you deserve a break today. You deserve. And all this has a tendency to pile onto our expectations and what we think we deserve. On the other side, we have, well, how things are. And the higher your expectations are, the lower how things are can feel sometimes. And how things are is I actually work at this place, not that place. And of course, I'm not paid what I'm worth. I actually live in this house, and it always needs repairs. I really wanted to live in that neighborhood where the houses never have issues. I wanted my kids to go to this school, not that school. And why aren't they thanking me every day for providing for them anyway? I mean, I deserve that. Have you even seen what I deserve? And then it gets to your marriage, about how your spouse should be treating you, how they should be taking care of more of their end of the bargain, and how things should be divided. It's expectations on sex and on money, the two biggest things that cramp relationships. And stress is the name of the gap that exists between our expectations and where things are. And stress is a politically correct term for mad, for angry, for resentful. Stress is the gap between our expectations and how things are. I wanted this, I have this. You know what closes the gap is that communication. It's talking about things. It's the expectation talks. It's how things are. When you talk about these things, you can actually do something called creating together goals. You can work towards things. And your spouse starts thinking, oh man, they actually care. They give a rip. Oh, they've noticed that too. Oh, they also feel spent. I do too. What can we do about together? And every time you get together and have talks, that gap closes and gets smaller and smaller, and the stress goes away too. That's pretty impressive. So I'm convinced that the best marriages have a daily connect, but there's an addendum. The best marriages have a daily connect where the two people involved are there specifically to give, specifically to listen, and not ask for things in return. It's a competition about who can give the most. Because here's where most marriages in a Christian relationship go sideways, on accident. We start expecting our spouse to be the source of our life. We expect our spouse to be the source of our happiness as we disengage from God. And that's not how He made it. You see, we're supposed to be plugged in and connected together, running off of the same power. And the connect for you isn't on your spouse's to-do plate. That's for God. God meant for you to have an amazing helper and a partner and a spouse to help you have a great story that impacts your home and other people. But He never meant for them to be your source of power. So you don't go home saying, I'm expecting them to fill me up and make me feel good about myself. They can't, because they bring the same thing to the table that you do. More stress, anxiety, junk from their past, stuff that isn't going to be life-giving to you. So God gives you other things. So the best marriages are from two people who realize where their actual source comes from, but decide to connect together from that same source and give to each other. That's the daily delay. Weekly withdrawal. This is where it gets a little more fun. Let's talk about the weekly withdrawal for a minute. This is something that actually creates anticipation and memories worth repeating. Anticipation. This gives you something to look forward to. In a world where we are unconnected, in a world where we are hyper-connected to the wrong things, in a world that is so fast-paced, we can come home to an Engedi, a place where we feel safe, a place where we feel connected, but a weekly withdrawal is date night, or breakfast, or coffee. It's something that we can look forward to in the middle of the madness. And when your spouse is the thing that you look forward to in the middle of your daily grind, that's awesome. And that creates some health. I want to encourage you to make sure that your date nights aren't boring. Have some fun. What we talked about last week is if you're not having fun with somebody, they don't know if you like them or not. It's true for kids, it's true for adults, and it's still true with your spouse. How many times people were like, oh, we're going out. What do you want to do? What's the next question? I don't know. What do you want to do? You want to get something to eat? It is dinner time. Where do you want to go? I don't know. Where do you want to go? And then somebody eventually always says, well, I don't care. And the other person says, and that would be the guy. And the other person says, well, how about here? And then the person who doesn't care, they care all of a sudden. Oh, last time we went there, and then, boy, that sounds like fun. Create some memories. Be intentional. Be different. There's tons of ideas out on this beautiful interweb, right? My wife has a book of date nights. It's called the Adventure Date Book, and it's awesome, kinda. It's got a bazillion dates in it. Totally creative, totally fun. But you don't know what you're doing until you're in the car and you scratch it off. Then it tells you. Now, some of y'all are a party in the box, like my wife. She walks in, streamers go places, there's moving lights at our house, and always music in her background, right? She loves anything, and it's very spontaneous. Those of us that are planners, who like to know what we're doing the next 10 years and have it blocked out on a calendar, this is horrifying. But I always look forward to spending time with her, and she's great at creating memories. What we ended up doing 2 weeks ago is going to the park right down the road here with a rope and some boxing gloves and a blindfold. I know you're thinking, wait, this is good news you're giving us? This is advice? Let me finish. There was also a piñata involved that was stuffed with Andy's candies that we stopped and got on the way. We made some killer memories that day. Great memories. For all the people at the park looking over and going, what the heck are these two people doing? Tell you what we were doing. We were having fun. We were enjoying each other. And we were making memories, and we had something to look forward to. Let's go back to Song of Songs. I'm in 2 verse 8. Listen, my beloved, look, here he comes, leaping across the mountains, bounding over the hills. You know, what's happening here? This is a description, this is poetry for somebody who's heading here with great anticipation, somebody who's in a hurry, somebody who's excited to come and meet this person, somebody heading to him. He's coming to pick her up for date night. My beloved is like a gazelle or a young stag, which I know every guy in here, like my wife calls me that all the time. I'm totally connecting with this. Look, there he stands behind our wall, gazing through the windows and peering through the lattice. Now, I worked as a detective for long enough to realize that this sounds illegal. And some of y'all are thinking, this dude's a perv. Why are you reading this to us? Why are you telling us it's a good idea? He's a peeping Tom. Calm down. No, he's like, hun, it's time to go. I can't wait to see you. She's like, I'll be there in a minute. This is the anticipation. This dude so far has gotten to her place as soon as he could, and he's come to find her, and he can't wait to see her. He can't wait to be with her. And of course not, because she looks like a henna blossom, and she smells fantastic, right? What guy would not? My beloved spoke and said to me, arise, my darling, my beautiful one, come with me. See what's happened? He's come and picked her up. She got ready for the date night. He said, come with me. The winter is past. The rains are over and gone. Flowers appear on the earth. The season of singing has come. The cooing of doves is heard in our land. The fig tree forms its early fruit. The blossoming vines spread their fragrance. Arise, come, my darling, beautiful one, come with me. So they have set up a safe home in Engedi, a place where they can connect and feel good and be themselves. And they're connecting regularly. But still, he says, you know what? It's amazing outside. There's adventures to be had. There's something different that happens where we can go and have some fun together. And so he comes and picks her up for date night. Remember, if you're not having fun, they don't know if you like them or not. So the weekly withdrawal of the date night is to say, let's step away from all the stuff for a minute. Let's just go be us. Let's go have some fun. Now we get to the annual abandon. This is once a year, at least, and this is the big one. This is the thing that we look forward to every single year. It can be on your anniversary, or it could be at a time that you purpose where work schedules are low and you can get away. This is the awesome one. This one's so fun, but again, this won't work unless you're already connected by a daily delay, making your weekly times a whole lot more fun. And at these weekly times, you can get together and plan for this annual abandon where you get to just be with your spouse. Chapter 7, come my beloved, let us go to the countryside. Let us spend the night in the villages. So we have set up a safe home, a place where you can just go and be, where he can't wait just to get back home and be with her. Then we've set a time where she's excited because she sees that he's excited to come spend some time with her. He says, come away with me. Let's get away. Let's go spend an afternoon on the town and just go be us. And now we're getting to the point where he's like, you know what's even better than that? Let's get out of town. Let's put everything and everybody, all the computers, all the screens, let's just go. How great does that even sound right now? Let's just go. How much of a priority does your spouse feel if you're like, let's actually put life aside for a minute and go spend a few days? This is exciting. So she says, and Getty's our home, and they want to make it safe. And the 15 to 20 minutes a day makes that safe. Then comes the whole weekly withdrawal, and he says, come away with me and make this a priority. So your kids will know how to have a better relationship. Your neighbors will see that you're prioritizing your marriage. We have friends here, Aaron and Cheryl. They're fantastic. They're working in kids right now, and so that I can be here. And these two, they're dating all the time, like all the time. And hey, what are you doing Friday? Well, Cheryl and I are going to breakfast, and then we're going for a hike. Okay, great. What are you doing Saturday morning? Well, Cheryl and I are going to breakfast first, and then we're going to go do whatever, X, Y, and Z. And they always will add in, y'all are welcome to join us. You're welcome to join us. But everybody in our small group knows that Aaron and Cheryl seem like they just got married yesterday because they're always dating. And it has inspired the other people in our group to go start doing the same. Not with Cheryl, but with their own spouse. And it's been more fun. Now, the annual abandon in chapter 7, they're saying, let's get out of town, let's put everything aside. And this is where it gets tons of fun and racy. Let us go early to the vineyards to see if the vines have budded, if their blossoms have opened, and if the pomegranates are in bloom. There I will give you my love. That means we're going to get away from everybody and everything that would be between us. And I mean everything. The Hebrew definition of this is, hey, let's go get it on and enjoy each other and have some uninterrupted time with each other, including physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually. That's the point of the annual abandon, where you can just get away and get back to your initial relationship and how God put you together, which is fantastic. Now, all these memories, can you imagine if you implemented this daily delay, the weekly withdrawal, and put on your calendar something to look forward to, the annual abandon? Would anything change at your home? The connection factor is astronomical, but I'm also not stupid. There's people in here, including me at times, where you're going to say, we're just not in that space to even think about getting away with him right now, or to go off on a weekend with her right now. I can't even. We haven't even talked in X number of months. Hey, take the pressure off yourself. 2 things to know. Number 1, you're not special. You're not the only one who's had marital issues before. Everybody who's hearing this either was married last weekend or has had some marital stress. But the answer, the way to get back with that, is to start back at step 1, this daily delay. In fact, if you're hearing stress and there's no way we can even think about an annual abandon, and date night sure isn't happening, take them off the table for right now. Start with the daily. Start connecting, because that's legitimately God's plan for us. And let's start closing the gap, closing the stress between where I imagined it would be and where we are now. It takes some time, but it's so worth it. As we get back to them, we can be connected together. But I want to remind you, as a follower, God's got such great plans and desires for your story. And that's only going to happen, you connect with each other, if you remember who the source of your life is. And I honestly believe that's Jesus Christ. And plugging back into that. And God gives us our why we want to invest in our marriage that he's given us. It's not just an addition, it's core. So to help you out with this, we have pizza boxes in the back, as you exit, I want you to grab a pizza box because we're sending you on a pizza date night. The only rules are, number one, you have to go to a pizza place. If you want to get a salad, good for you. That's gross. I feel like God has blessed us with the invention of pizza, and yet I still have friends who insist on I'll just have a salad when we go to pizza restaurants. That's bizarre. You need counseling, and I don't even know where to start on a Sunday morning with that. So grab a box on the way out. The only other rule is you can't open it until it's time to go. You can't open it. And so you don't, so you're not completely freaking out. I'm going to tell you what you're doing when you get there. You're going to go to your favorite pizza restaurant. And by the way, some of you are going to open your box and find that your date night has been paid for. I do not know which box it's in, but if you are the ones who get a gift card, I need you to text me and let me know where you're at, and Trina and I will show up, and you can buy dinner. So first thing you need to do when you get to your favorite pizza restaurant is to open your tablecloth and do this. And I need you to look around very pretentiously like this is what we do. And if anybody's looking at you like you're weird, you look at them like they're weird because they don't have one. It goes right in the middle of your table. Then you get your candle and turn it on and put it right in the middle. And then I need you to look at each other and go. And you can add in whatever Lady and the Tramp meme you want to at that time. And you go, well, what are we doing tonight, dear? You go, I don't know, but let's look and see because my church cares about me. We have written your entire date night out. We have all the questions, all the games, all the connections factor that you need. And some of y'all are going, why do I need that? And some of y'all are going, good word, we have something to do on a date now. Finally, I did not know what to say for the last 3 years. We've given you all the instructions listed on this fabulous menu. You also find all the supplies that you need for a fantastic date night, including 6 note cards. You're going, what do I need note cards for? It's none of your business until you get to your restaurant. And we've provided writing utensils. Please let your spouse pick the color. Have you heard nothing else that I've said already? We just want to provide a time where you can connect again. You can go have some fun. Because we think that God cares about what happens in your home. And I want your home to be an Engedi, a place that's safe. Because I care what happens at your home, not just that you're here on Sunday mornings, but Monday through Saturday. Make it an amazing spot to gather. Let's reconnect. I love you guys. So we're going to take a few more minutes and have some more worship time, which is amazing. And I will see you next week.
You guys stand to your feet as we just continue to sing.
You love with no reservation. You are not looking for perfection. There's no need in me pretending. I'll give you everything. I'll give you everything. You deserve my full attention. Nothing less than my devotion. Oh, and speak to me and I will listen. I'll give you everything. I'll give you everything. Oh, 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 oh. You can have my heart. You can have my heart. Oh, yours forever. My heart is yours forever.
Come on, tell him.
My heart is yours forever. My heart is yours forever. Everything is yours. Oh, we lay it down, oh, Father. If you want my heart, you got it. You got it, you got it. If you want my heart, you got it. You got it, you got it. If you want my heart, you got it. You got it, you got it. If you want my heart, you got it. You got it.
To reveal the kingdom come and to reconcile the lost, to redeem our whole creation,
You did not despise the cross, for even in your suffering, you saw to the other side, knowing this was our salvation. Jesus, for our sake, you died. Oh, yeah. Praise the Father, praise the Son, praise the Spirit, three in one. God of glory, majesty, praise forever to the King of Kings. Oh, yeah, yeah. And the morning that you rose, all of heaven held its breath, till that stone was moved for good, for the Lamb had conquered death. And the dead rose from their tomb, and the angels stood in awe, for the souls of all who'd come to the Father are restored. And the church of Christ was born. Then the Spirit lit the flame. Now this gospel's truth of hope shall not kneel and shall not fade. And by His blood and in His name, in His freedom I am free. For the love of Jesus Christ, who has resurrected me. Praise the Father, praise the Son, praise the Spirit, three in one. God of glory, majesty, praise forever to the King of Kings. Praise the Father, praise the Son, praise the Spirit, three in one. God of glory, majesty, praise forever to the King of Kings. Praise forever to the King of Kings. Oh, yeah, yeah. So worthy, Lord, worthy you are. Yeah. You know, it's interesting, and not many churches, and I commend you, West Cobb, but not many churches will have a sermon and talk about marriage, talk about foundation, and what's supposed to be rooted in our homes as we put Christ in the center. But when we walk out these doors, right? We walk out these doors and we go into our regular life, marriage is not a foundation. That's why divorce rate is so high. That's why you have broken homes. I grew up in a broken home. I didn't know what it was like to live with a father and a mother in the home, unified in marriage. I had to learn that through the Lord. By the grace of God, 15 years married now, but I'm still learning. And it's not even to pat myself or anything like that, but I'm just like you. I am broken, and I'm still learning every single day to know what it is to fully surrender and be in the midst of the Lord, so that He can work in my wife, in my kids, in my family, and in my home. It is all Jesus. So let's just give God the praise, and I thank you for having me this morning. God bless y'all.
Amen. Man, our prayer and our heart is the last words of those songs. Praise forever to the King of Kings. In our family's life, in our marriages, in our day-to-day, we hope to reflect that as a church and as a couple and hopefully as a person. Just all glory to God, and he's so worthy. So we're going to continue in worship just with the time of giving this morning, and we're so thankful for just how consistent you guys have been. As we all know, this year has been incredibly different. I'll say that. But everything that we do from our marriage classes to students is all because of how faithful you guys have been. So we do appreciate that. And on your way out, there'll be a drop box. You can also give at wccgive.com. So we're just super thankful for you guys and for just an awesome morning and time of worship. We actually are going to introduce Bill Shoup to you guys. He's going to come up. He's got something to share. He's a member of our leadership team. So you guys can be seated.
Good morning, everybody. Okay, so this is the second time I've had a microphone in my hand since I retired like 7 years ago. And I gotta tell you, it doesn't come real natural. So bear with me if you would. Okay, a side note before we get into what we're gonna talk about. I love the worship in this church. I love the spirit of worship in this church. It is such a big part of the ministry here, and it's incredible. The gifts that we have here, the people out there that worship in their own way. I'm also incredibly grateful for people like Todd Graham, who come to us and provide us an emphasis on marriage and the family. You can't have a strong church without doing business about the family and about marriage. And I'm so thankful for him. And I'm so thankful for David Doyle and all he's doing with the youth and all you guys that support him with the small groups and everything. It's incredible what we have here. And there's other examples, but I just wanted to mention that before I went any further. Okay, the thing that we're here for this morning, everybody knows Misty, right? You know, Misty's been on the leadership team for quite a while. She served a number of functions and things over the years, and I'm just grateful to get to know her in my new role, to learn her heart. What we've got today is something that is actually heavy on the heart as far as information to share with you. The leadership team has been talking for some time now about preparing this church, preparing ourselves for the new pastor that we're going to be hiring and bringing on board into our church family in the hopefully fairly near future. But we know that we have to prepare this place. We can't just turn over a church just like it is, okay? Some of you have sold houses recently, and you conscientious folks that have sold houses recently have prepared that house for the next buyer. You did what needed to be done for that next person to take, possession of the home that you've enjoyed. And it's similar for the leadership team. We wanted to make sure that we'd address things that needed to be addressed before the new guy came. We've had a number of meetings recently, and we've had a number of conversations with people, including Lance Taylor. And in addressing a number of issues about things that need to be addressed, in the midst of those conversations, Lance got back to us, and Lance Taylor has decided to resign. Misty is going to share his verbatim letter to us, to you. And Misty, would you go ahead and share that?
Dear West Cobb Church, my builder's heart led me to accept the challenge in 2017 of coming alongside leadership and helping our church discover a great new future. We've had many challenges, and despite the odds, we've seen many lives changed. The church is now at a new turning point, and Wendy and I have a strong sense that our assignment here is done. We leave knowing that God brought us here and that He is now moving us on. Thank you for the way you loved me and my family. We are thankful for our friendships here, for the memories we have in rolling up our sleeves together, and we're praying for great days ahead for West Cobb Church. Lance Taylor.
It's a painful time. And I can't help but think about Lance and his family. Those of you that know him, that have interacted with their family on one level or another, know that when they walk through the halls, they light up the place. It's like the whole family's got the gift of smiling. We love them, and we're gonna miss them. I can personally say that his son, when I'd run into him in the halls, big old smile. I'm gonna miss that. I'm gonna miss all of them. And it's important for all of you that had a relationship with them, if you haven't already, and in the days ahead, to reach out to them, remind them how much you love them, because it's an uncomfortable time for them. And we just don't want them to ever doubt how much we love them as they move in to the next stage of their life. So thank you, Taylor family. In addition to the conversations we've had about just general issues, many of you know that when an organization is moving forward, dealing with change, trying to manage change that is ahead, that it's important to have one leader to go to, somebody where the buck stops. The buck stops with them. We've gone quite a while now without a senior pastor, and we've kind of seen some of the effects of that, because that's generally in a church the go-to person for making those tough decisions, for keeping things moving and that sort of thing. And we've gone quite a while without a senior pastor. And at one of these recent meetings, very recent, we talked about the challenges, we talked about the issues, they're significant, and one of the things that we landed on was that we need one person leading this place. We don't need a hodgepodge of the leadership team and the resource team and who knows who else. We need one person that's the go-to person for leading this awesome church that God's placed here. And we talked a little bit about, would it be good to bring somebody in from the outside? Well, you bring somebody into the outside, you've got to explain what you think the issues are, and then you got to say, hey, and by the way, figure it all out and fix it before the next guy gets here. Okay, well, it doesn't take a lot of thinking to realize that's not practical. So we're sitting there thinking, and somewhere along the way in the conversation, David Camp was asked if he might be in a position to fulfill that role for his church. He had no warning that we were going to do that, but that's how the conversation evolved. And after much discussion, he told us that there's some things going on in his business that allow him to be able to fill that role right now. So he accepted that invitation. In the midst of transition, in the midst of the challenges, in the midst of trying to manage the change, I cannot think of anybody that God could have placed here at such a time as this to lead us to the next stage of our ministry here at West Cobb. This man knows you. He knows us. He loves us. He loves you. He loves this ministry. He loves the original foundation of this church, which was all about evangelism. There are so many things. He's got business experience beyond anything I could imagine that will be helpful at this particular time. All the businesses he's managed, all the businesses he's rescued. Incredible experience. But one other thing I thought I'd mention, man, this guy can preach the word of God. Different people have different ways of preaching, but David brings you the word. He brings it to you straight. He brings it to you with the anointing of God. He trusts the Holy Spirit to deliver the word that he's been given, and I think we're just going to really benefit from him during this time. So I am just so grateful. There's so many things that if you look around as we go through our transition that God has placed here, it's incredible. The finance people that we have, the music people we have, the praying people we have, the volunteers that we have, the volunteers that will be volunteers later. They're not yet, but they're going to be volunteers. There's just so many gifts that God's put in place here, and I'm just really excited with what God's going to do through David Camp as our leader. David?
All right, well, just briefly, I'm excited about the opportunity. I'm excited about us pouring into life together. And I'm excited about God setting this place on fire in a way that when the next pastor comes, it's just go, right? And so with that, what I want to share with you is we will spend this time prior to our pastor coming, getting the body reconnected relationally, eliminating barriers, getting us reconnected with our community, making a difference. And one thing that you will learn about me, you've seen maybe a little bit of it, but reconnecting with God through worship. I mean, I love to worship. And so this week is gonna be just sort of drinking from a fire hose, understanding what everybody's doing and where we're going, and trying to create some direction. But I'm honored, and I look forward to serving with you. And let's close today in prayer that God's gonna anoint what he desires to do in this place in the days ahead, in and through us as a body. Father, I thank you for West Cobb Church. I thank you for the people that are committed to this ministry. And Father, even though we've gone through a series of change here recently, Father, often in the midst of change, you're preparing. And I know, God, that if we're willing to listen, if we're willing to pay attention, and if we're willing to be obedient, that you are setting the course where we get to participate in the work that you want to do, as opposed to always fighting the uphill battle of trying to do what we want to do. And Father, this church wants to be God chasers. We want to be working in the areas that you want us to work. We want to be reflecting the person of Jesus to the people that we come in contact with, Father, so that West Cobb Church is a dynamic place that matters in this community of which we are a part. May you start that work in each of our hearts. In the name of Christ, I pray, amen. Thank you guys, have an awesome week.
Today, it all began.